Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be providing a long-term market analysis update for Ergo. What I want to specifically focus on in this video is what I'm looking out for to be bullish into the next few months. And I'll be looking at Ergo on both the USD and Bitcoin pairs, covering some key areas, some support and resistance levels to watch, moving averages, and all the usual stuff. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, by the way, feel free to check out our sponsors in the link in the description below. This channel is partnered with FTX.us. So to begin, I actually want to focus on the Ergo Bitcoin ratio first because I think this is just a far more interesting chart to look at. And what I'm going to be covering is a hypothetical scenario in which we do have a longer term bottom in place and a macro trend reversal to this dominant downtrend. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be comparing this ratio to the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio back in the previous cycle during the 2019 bear market. And essentially what I want to do is look at the similarities between these two charts and what that means for Ergo Bitcoin going forward. So if we go back here to the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, and I just remove these drawings for a second here, I want you guys to understand why I'm comparing Ergo Bitcoin to this ratio. And the reason is because this was a very good example of a longer term bearish trend we had over a year of declining phase into a 90% correction, okay? If I just take a measure move here from this top, again, a 90% correction over a significant length of time, and then we formed a longer term bottom and then reversed that trend back to the upside. So with Ergo, I really just want to focus on the market structure and the similarities between the two charts. So notice how on the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, we had this longer term double bottom. We had a retest of this level around 0.017 in September 2019, and then another retest right here in December of 2019. And I want to just switch over here to Ergo Bitcoin where we have had that double bottom structure. We had a retest of approximately 7,000 Satoshis back here in February of this year as well as May. So if I switch back over here to the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, notice how when we had the double bottom, we first started to make a higher high, taking out this high that we had between the two double bottoms. And then we came back down and then we formed a higher low. And we basically repeated that process where we just continue this trend of forming higher highs, coming back down to form higher lows, and just continuing that structure all the way up into a reversal. Now with Ergo Bitcoin, notice how we have taken out that high that we formed back here in March around 12,000 Satoshis. We've made a higher high a few weeks ago around 30,000 Satoshis. And also notice the structure with the lows where we did have a higher low back in July around 8,000 Satoshis. Now we're having the possibility that we come down and form a higher low. So if I relate that back to here on the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, we're basically at this stage where we're looking for another higher low so that we can start to reverse and start to trend back up and form a higher high. So that's exactly what I'm looking out for. Anything within this range in the green is going to be a good area to look for a higher low. And if we can start to reverse from here, whether it looks something like this where we come back down a little bit longer and then we start to reverse, or if we reverse from here, ultimately it doesn't matter. What we want to see is that structure where we do begin to form this longer term higher low. We start to have a little bit more momentum to the upside and we begin to play out that market structure similar to the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio back from the previous cycle. So that's exactly what I want to see here to be bullish on the Ergo Bitcoin ratio into the next few months. And this is a logical area where we could potentially expect a reversal. Now that being said, if we start to come back down and we break down within this range and we start to retarget these lows, that really does invalidate this structure. That really does invalidate the pattern. And at that point, I would start to say, well, hey, maybe Ergo is no longer following the same structure as Ethereum Bitcoin back in the previous cycle, and we can't really look to that anymore. So that's sort of the invalidation point. If we start to break down, enter back within this range and target these lows, do consider that this scenario is no longer valid. So now I want to switch over here to the Ergo USD pair, and I'm going to start off here on the weekly chart. Now, we talked about this range from around $1.70 to $4 extensively throughout the last few videos. And Ergo recently had it move back above the range highs at $4, but ultimately it found resistance at the previous lower high back in March, and that's sort of where we've had this rejection. We've come back down and we're back within this range. So at this point, this really does start to look like a fake out, a failed breakout, where when we came back down to retest $4, it didn't hold as support and we fell right back through it. So at this stage, what I'm looking out for is if Ergo can find support off the middle of the range, which is coming in around $2.60. So that's going to be this region right here. And notice how this was an area of support back here in February of this year, and that led us to a pretty nice bounce, forming this resistance again around $5.20. So if we can start to bounce off the middle of the range, if we can start to find support from here and make a move back up, targeting these highs once again, then this really does open up the possibility that we form a longer term bottoming structure in the form of an inverse head and shoulders. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what that looks like here. And basically what we have here is a neckline, and for Ergo that would be at around $5. We have a left shoulder where we have a first initial leg down. That's this move right here with the February low off support around $2.60. We have that move back up into the resistance, come down, form the all-time low, which is going to be this low around $1.70, come back up, form a right shoulder, which is basically just a symmetrical move to the previous one but back to the upside, and then from there targeting and breaking out of the neckline. So this is a longer term bottoming reversal structure. It's very common in a lot of charts. And if we have something like this start to play out, that really does support the bullish case. This is really something that I do want to see going into the next few months. But in order for this to happen, we first need to make a reversal. We need to bounce off the support. We need to have a move back up targeting this neckline once again, which is coming in around $5.20. So if something like that can happen, that for me is sufficient evidence to say that Ergo does have a longer term bottom in place. Now, if something like this were to happen where we start to come back down and we don't hold the support off the middle of the range, then a move like this would invalidate that pattern. I would no longer be looking for an inverse head and shoulders, but instead I would actually start to target these lows where a flip into resistance of the middle of the range really does start to support the bearish case. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content and the analysis. By the way, make sure to check out our sponsors in the link in the description below. This channel is partnered with FTX.US. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.